Why do humans miss the past more than they enjoy the present? Have you ever noticed something strange? A moment can feel completely ordinary while you're living it. Nothing special, nothing magical, just another day. Then years later, you'd do anything to go back. A school day that once felt boring becomes a cherished memory. A summer you barely appreciated becomes unforgettable. A house you couldn't wait to leave becomes the place you miss the most. Even difficult periods of life sometimes begin to look beautiful in hindsight. Why? Why do humans miss the past so much? Why does yesterday often seem better than today? And why do we spend so much time looking backward instead of enjoying the moment we're actually living in? The answer begins with one of the strangest tricks your brain ever learned. Because the past you miss may not be the past that actually happened. Think about your childhood. When people remember childhood, they often remember freedom. Friends, vacations, family gatherings, laughter, adventure, the good parts. But childhood wasn't always like that. There was boredom, fear, embarrassment, loneliness, frustration, homework, arguments, bad days. Yet somehow, many of those memories seem to fade, leaving behind a version of the past that feels warmer than reality. Psychologists sometimes refer to this tendency as rosy retrospection, the tendency to remember past experiences more positively than we experienced them at the time. Your brain isn't a camera, it's a storyteller, and over time, the storyteller edits, the rough edges disappear, the highlights remain, which creates a powerful illusion. The illusion that the past was better than it really was. But that's only part of the story, because nostalgia isn't simply about remembering, it's about feeling. Imagine hearing a song you haven't heard in 10 years. Suddenly you're transported, back to a different place, a different version of yourself, a different life. The emotions return instantly, not because the song changed, but because your brain connected it to a moment in time. Humans don't just remember events, we remember how those events felt. And emotions are often stronger than facts. You may forget exactly what happened, but you remember the feeling, the warmth, the excitement, the comfort, the sense that life was simpler, and that feeling can become addictive, especially during difficult times, because nostalgia often appears when people feel uncertain, lonely, stressed, disconnected. The past becomes a psychological refuge, a place the mind visits when the present feels uncomfortable. But here's something strange. Most people don't actually want to return to the past. Not really. What they want is to return to how they felt. The feeling of possibility, the feeling of youth, the feeling that life was still unfolding, the feeling that there was more time ahead than behind. And that's a very different thing, because you can never truly go back. The places change, the people change, you change. Even if you could revisit the exact same moment, it wouldn't feel the same. You wouldn't be the same person experiencing it, which leads to a painful realization. Sometimes what we miss isn't the past itself, it's a version of ourselves that no longer exists. The teenager who had dreams, the child who saw wonder everywhere, the student who believed anything was possible, the younger self who had not yet experienced certain disappointments. When we say we miss the past, we're often saying something deeper. We miss who we used to be. And that may explain why nostalgia can feel both comforting and sad at the same time. Comforting because it reconnects us to meaningful memories. Sad because it reminds us those moments are gone. It's happiness and loss mixed together, a uniquely human emotion. But there's another reason the past seems so attractive. The past is known. The future is not. Think about it. Every memory already has an ending. Every chapter is complete. Your brain knows how the story ends. That creates a feeling of safety. The future offers no such comfort. The future contains uncertainty, risk, failure, change, questions without answers. And human beings have always been uncomfortable with uncertainty. So the mind naturally drifts toward familiar territory, toward memories, toward stories already written, toward places where nothing unexpected can happen. Yet there is a hidden danger in this, because nostalgia can slowly become a trap. The more idealized the past becomes, the less satisfying the present appears. If yesterday is always perfect, today can never compete. If your best memories become the standard, real life starts feeling disappointing. And that's not because the present is worse. It's because the comparison is unfair. You're comparing reality to memory, and memory is heavily edited. The present includes bills, stress, mistakes, responsibilities. The memory does not. The memory only kept the highlights, which means nostalgia isn't really a window into the past. It's a story your brain creates about the past, a story that changes every time you tell it, a story shaped by emotion, meaning, and longing. But perhaps the strangest part of all is this: the moments you currently call ordinary may become the memories you miss most one day. The coffee you're drinking, the friend you keep meaning to call, the neighborhood you drive through every day, the routine you barely notice, the life you're living right now. One day, it will be the past. And if history is any guide, your future self may look back on this very period with the same longing you currently reserve for years gone by. Which raises an interesting question. If today's ordinary moments are tomorrow's nostalgia, how differently would you live if you truly understood that? How much more attention would you pay? How much more gratitude would you feel? How much less time would you spend wishing for another era? Maybe the reason humans miss the past more than they enjoy the present is because we only recognize the value of a moment once it becomes a memory. And maybe that's the real tragedy. Not that the past is gone, but that we often don't realize we're living through the good old days until they're already over.